wild race up in Maine saw Pileski nab himself a feature win. But our stint up in the Northeast isn't over yet, and it's just a little hop down to Thompson. Larger and faster than last week's venue, it could change up the picture at the front. Let's see if it does as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Misfit Touring Series, and you'll see it all live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. DJ, looking forward to this one because Oxford can be a bit of a tricky track with it being so short and it being so difficult to pass there. This one, they've got long straights, they've got steep banking. It's going to be completely different.
Yeah, it very much is, Joe. You're going to be talking about rolling momentum here at Thompson. That's going to be the big word of the day. You're traditionally going to want to take a medium to high line around here to try to maximize the speed as much as possible. And going low, in contrast to Oxford Plains, is going to be not exactly the optimal way to get yourself around. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers deal with everything. But as you said, the longer straights around here at Thompson mean higher top speeds. And that is going to be a big storyline here today, as we may be talking a little bit about the draft and how that can play in.
That's true. Not something that we talk about a lot with these cars. If we take a look at the schedule, we go from here to Stafford, another Northeast race, and then we go all the way across to Irwindale, which is over on the West Coast instead. So we'll have a couple of those West Coast tracks before we head back over to the East. I do love that they've gone with the regions, much like they would in real life, to save people money of having to travel quite as much and shipping things around the states, but certainly gives it an interesting flavor. And we will see the Milwaukee Mile changed. You see that little asterisk. One of the newest tracks is going to be Slinger, so going to do that instead. Looking forward to that. DJ, you talked about it a little bit already. Let's take a look at this place. Going to look slightly different than it does in the sim, though.
Yeah, going to look a little bit different here, but the main layout is still the same. As we take a look from above, you can see that very sort of oblong shape here of that, very much like a paperclip. And you look at it, you may think it's Martinsville, but it certainly isn't. The high banking around here, as we mentioned, allows you to carry much more speed around the outside, much more of an ability to keep that momentum rolling through the corners. Not a lot of braking here necessarily. You're really going to be using that middle pedal going to be for a little bit more of car rotation through the high banks.
And speaking of these cars, this is what they're going to be racing today. So a lot of power underneath them, but they're also very heavy machines. Very simple with the 4-gear H pattern that they're going to have to be working through. Hopefully not shifting too much down the straights, though, themselves. But this is the new late model Cars Tour vehicle that they race in real life at a lot of these real-world short tracks, and have certainly been an excellent addition here on iRacing itself. As for the race, DJ, what are the drivers up against?
Well, they're going to be able to go out and qualify here in single car qualifying, and then that will determine the order of the top 12 drivers. That will then be inverted in the top 10 or the top 7 for the feature race. From there on out in the 10-lap heat race, the top 6 will advance. If we've got enough here for a 15-lap last chance qualifier, the winner should advance on. But as we said, the storylines around here maximize that draft. The higher speeds means that you're going to be able to use a little bit more of that traditional style of drafting, and pay attention to the line. We haven't really talked about it here, but then in the recent iRacing update, the oval refresh has come into play, which means the line is going to change on what part of the track rubber's in. You're going to be starting medium is where I would say. We'll see if that line lifts up, moves down a little bit. Keep an eye on that. And as we were talking about before, Joe, this is a relatively narrow track, so it's very crucial to give room all the way around here. You don't want to crowd your competitors too much.
Yeah, got to try and make sure and leave some space, or else it's going to get messy fast. And let's see who is able to be ahead of whatever potential mess there is, because qualifying is just now starting. And first up for that should be Deegan Smith out there, checking to see if he is lined up and ready to go in the 15. It looks like they have not sent him out quite yet. So we'll get him on track in just a moment here. under the lights. And thankfully, we do have lights tonight compared to last night at North Wilkesboro, where things got a little bit dark.
Yeah, they got a little bit pitch black, I think is more of the way I would use to describe it, but they're good here as they run. Just waiting for the last drivers to get themselves out onto track right now. As we said, we're going to be covering this single car qualifying, which should make things very interesting. Kind of give us an idea individually on how each and every one of these drivers are going to be able to take to the track.
Now, last night in their special one-off Christmas race, the event that they held at North Wilkesboro that we've been referencing, like I said, kind of not quite like what we have here, much more of a rounded track than this sort of paperclip shape. What line should we expect drivers to try and take? Will they be trying to square it off a lot more because of those long straightaways?
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of squaring, and there you can see exactly the line you want to take there for Deegan Smith. Really chuck it into the corner, let the car run up wide a little bit more, and then bring the car back down as much as you can. That's really what you want to do. You don't want to be putting a lot of motion into the steering wheel as you run. You want to just carry as much speed as humanly possible.
Well, first lap was a 19.2, which is about close to what we were seeing in the warm-up. So it does look like Deegan Smith has some speed here. Second lap does not improve, though. Watch out for Hassler, who looked very, very fast, not only last night, but also tonight in the warm-up. And, of course, I love that. Throwing the horns there, Kendall Becker out and ready to go.
Yeah, Becker's going to bring the car out on the track here at this point. And don't be surprised if we see drivers taking a higher than normal line on the opening lap to try to maximize speed, almost as if you're running a little bit of a super speedway setup.
So as he comes around on the backstretch, unfortunately, his first laps looks like it was deleted. He had to get out of the gas on that first one, so not sure what happened there. And he'll now come around to complete his second flying lap in a 20.1. Doesn't look like that's going to show well. He's almost a full second off of Deegan.
Yeah, just not having the rhythm here at this point. That's not what Kendall Becker wants to have happen. Next driver out, though, going to be the series organizer, Kyle Adams. He'll bring himself out on the circuit here at this point. Let's see what he's got underneath him.
All right, so as he comes around and gets ready to launch off on his first flying lap, let's see what type of line he takes down into 1 and 2. Definitely riding up a little bit higher, cutting back down low as he has to counter steer slightly to keep it out of the wall.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to see. That counter steering is not the way to go here. You want to keep things a little bit more organized than that, a little bit more together. Adam's going to come across the line right now, a 19.4. That's going to be good enough for second place. Let's see if he can improve, though, on the next lap.
Yep, and he's got about a 10th to make up to the car ahead, which is a decent gap here in oval racing, especially short track oval racing, but not impossible, depending on what he can do this second time around. He crosses the line, 19.486, just mildly slower, so he'll stay second at best.
All right, second at best there for him as we wait for the next driver to work their way out onto the track at the moment, and it looks like it's going to be Keegan Bush. Let's see what Keegan's got underneath him here as he works his way around through.
So Keegan Bush heading out to try and cut down here on the exit and really get off down to the line as quick as he can. Flashes by the flag stand and down into turn 1. Will he have less counter steer here off the corner? Looked like it was a little bit smoother out of that number 27 that time around. The rear, though, wants to rotate on his way in. He's chucking it in.
Yeah, he really and truly is here. Let's see if that works at 19.5. That is not going to be a good time there for him, unfortunately, and that's going to put him in third place, just barely above Kendall Becker. Becker with a really rough time here. Interesting, though, to see what Bush is doing. He's taking a little bit of a counter line to what we would think. He's taking the car a little bit lower than I would normally anticipate. Lap 2, going to be an improvement, but not enough to move him up the order.
No, 19.512 stays in third position, but that small improvement could help him down the line as we saw a lot of other drivers to qualify, including Charlie Bates, one of the drivers last night who was certainly fast through most of the race. Probably didn't really get the results I think his speed merited. So tonight he is going to be looking to make up for that.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to see what he can do here at this point. Again, everything just kind of trading around a little bit as they run. Let's see if he's got anything underneath him. Very nice on the wheel there. Not a lot of movement from him. That'll be very good to be able to see. He's going to bring the car down low here at this point. Let's see if he's got a good time underneath him. As Bates crosses over the line with the 19.2, that's good enough for top of the charts.
About 15 thousandths faster than Deegan Smith, and he still has one more lap to go. Most drivers have not been going faster the second time around, though. Will Charlie Bates be able to extend it a little bit farther, make himself safer up the top step? And it is going to go down to about a 19.351 on his second lap. Even still, first one was good enough. He is now the marker everybody aims at.
Yeah, everybody's going to be going for that. And the next driver up to try to see if he's able to do anything is going to be Tanner Berg here, as Tanner in the number 35 machine going to bring that car around. Little bit of oversteer coming off turn 4. Going to be able to collect the car underneath him, but that will abate his momentum a little bit. Not necessarily what he wanted to have coming off the line.
As he flies down the back stretch, he's going to try and hit those marks into there, really flying into turn 3. We've been seeing a lot of drivers do that, be willing to let the car try and settle in. 19.208 is going to go even quicker than Bates now.
All right, there he goes. Let's see, though, if Berg's going to be able to improve on the second lap. We haven't really seen a whole lot of that here at this point. It's mostly been that first lap that's the money lap. But let's wait and see, as he's going to bring the car off at turn 4 right now. Is this going to be an improvement? Yes, so 119.195. That'll move him up and out of 72 thousandths of a second better than Bates behind him.
He looks so smooth off of 4 as well. You could tell that was going to be a fast one. So Dahlberg going to be the next one out as he exits pit lane and sizes up turn 3, holding up high and cuts back down to get himself the launch onto the front stretch. Let's see how quick he is as he chucks it into turn 1. Very shallow line compared to how everybody else has been going so far.
Yeah, not exactly the deepest run that I've seen there for him, so I'm a little bit surprised by that, I won't lie. But let's see if that plays out. Dahlberg, a little bit of counter steer coming off of the corner, going to come across the line. A 19.6, that's only good enough for 6th.
Not the most impressive of first laps. Once again, he tries to hold it low in 1 and 2. Let's watch it here through 3 and 4. Oh, again, the car really wants to rotate on the way into the corner, but it looks okay off of it, although he leaves himself a margin to the wall, and it's a 19.609. It's only slightly faster. He'll stay P6.
Yeah, he'll stay P6 for the moment, and the majority of what we're seeing here is drivers that are experimenting with that line. A lot of them trying to dive a little bit lower, a little bit deeper as they go, and it just doesn't seem like that low line is necessarily playing out. They're really and truly trying to just get what they can.
All right, so now we've got Evan Hassler. Now, like I said, this is one of the quicker drivers last night. In fact, was leading a good portion of the race as the 38 brings it through turns 3 and 4 out to the line. A little bit of counter steer off the corner, but it's a 19.483. Decent lap. That'll put him into 5th. He'll need something better, though.
Yeah, he'll need a little bit better here at this point. A little wide coming off of turn 2. Let's see if Hassler's got a little bit more into the tank. Going to take that higher line here at this point. Bring it around, coming off of turn 4. Trying to improve on that 19.4. He does, a 19.225. That's going to jump him up to P2.
Okay, so on to the front row. Tanner Berg, still your fastest car out there with a 19.196. Next one up is Michael Weissman in the number 45. With those unmistakable shiny numbers on the side of that black and white car. He'll hit the timing line and start the timer.
Yeah, and I like what he did there off of turn 4. Really drove the car down the hill, trying to maximize the time that he's going to spend on throttle to keep up that momentum as much as possible. Let's see here if that's going to play out. A little bit of a higher line than I've seen for some other drivers, but again, he's able to keep up that minimum speed. A 19.431, that's good enough for 6th, but like we saw with Hassler, may be able to improve on this second lap.
It looked like the car was kind of drifting out towards the wall there, coming out of 2, so I'm not sure if this is going to be that great a one, although I am showing him improving this time around. He's going to need it, and he does have it. 19.287. That will jump him up only to 5th, though. It is tight at the top of the field.
Yeah, it very much is. I mean, the top 5 here at this point only separated by 92 thousandths of a second. And then here's one of the sort of unsung heroes, John Gifford, coming out on track right now. Love this paint scheme. Very classic, almost, dare I say, retro in the way that it looks and just the sort of, moderately historic nature of it.
Yeah, it's other than the fact that it's red instead of pink, that's pretty much the Superflow paint scheme from the infamous Days of Thunder movie. And he is going to try and use that speed, see if he can have his inner Cole Trickle fight through the smoke and take a good time. His first lap, a 19.490, but we've seen a lot of drivers who've hit that 19.4 on the first lap seem to go a little faster on the second one.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what that attributes to here, Joe. I think a little bit of it is just building up that speed over the course. A little bit of a wiggle out of the rear end coming off the line, but still an improvement to a 19.3 that'll put him up into the P6.
Okay, so yeah, maybe the tires don't give away as much if you don't rush that first lap and try and hold on to a bit for the second one. But here we see now Matt Urban out in the number 48 out of turn 3 and onto the front stretch. He hasn't even started his first lap and already the car looks a little loose.
Yeah, it wants to dance and slide around on him here at this point, and so he is absolutely pushing. Good midline there through the corner. That'll keep everything up and try to keep things together here as he runs. Let's see, though, as Urban's going to now bring the car coming out of turn 4. Big wiggle there for him. That's not going to be a good time in 19.5.
We have to remember, this is an open setup series. The car, once again, getting mighty loose through 1 and 2. Surely he's not going to have a pair of decent laps. The 19.5 on that first one already has him down in 9th place. I'm showing him almost a second slower, so he shouldn't improve on his second time. No, about a 20.4 that time through. He is going to have to go back and work on that setup big time.
Yeah, it really is. That is just not an optimal way for him to go. Trying to get a couple of other drivers out on track right now. Looks like Travis Wilhite is going to be our next one to take to the track.
Still has the festive paint scheme from last night adorned on that number 52 as he returns to the circuit now and gets ready to take off on that first flying lap. Remember, they get 2 around here to try and put their quickest down. And we're understanding that there might be a bit of damage on the right front of the car. I'm trying to see if I can spot it here in the cameras.
Well, I think what that is from, Joe, is that he may have had a little bit of coming together in the pit lane. I saw a car just kind of pop up in the air. Whoa! Big slide coming off turn 4 in 19.8. That is going to put him near the bottom of the charts here at this point. Actually, it doesn't count for him, I believe, because he may have brushed the wall.
Yeah, it looks like you're right. And I wonder... Now, I don't think he brushed the wall. I wonder if he maybe passed the timing line in pit lane more than once, and it counted that as a lap for him.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that may be it exactly. If that's the case, that is going to be very unfortunate. So Wilhite going to be starting at the back of the field here, at least preliminarily. Timmy Spatz, though, going to be out on track. Good lap time there for the first one around. That's going to be good enough for P8 with a 19.433.
All right, looks like Timmy's got his dancing shoes on and he's ready to go as the 54 will set his second timed lap and a 19.330. Not too bad. That will jump him up into 6th place. So now we've got, let's see, it looks like the top 7 only 0.13 of a second apart from one another.
All right, that is very, very close. Not altogether surprising at around a 0.6 of a mile circuit here. It is very, very close in the way that it runs. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing that close at times. Just waiting for the next driver to get out here. I think we're waiting for Jake Sylvia to make his way out on track.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find him, and I'm not seeing him on pit lane currently. So we'll check him out in a bit, although he does have his revs up here in our timing and scoring, so not sure what is going on there. Yeah, okay, so he is on pit lane. We're just waiting for him to take off. Let's, in the meantime, while we wait for him, talk to our sponsor for this series, and that is Spartamax, represented here by Bill Balmas. Bill, welcome up to the booth. Tell us a little bit about Spartamax. Might not have Bill mic'd up and ready, so since it does look like we've got Jake Sylvia heading out onto the circuit, we'll talk to Bill a little bit later on. Sylvia, another one of those drivers that has been quick all season. You don't really want to bet against him. He'll cross the start-finish line, start his first flyer. Let's see if he can match that 19.196 that Tanner Burge holds at the top step.
Yeah, that's the point that everybody's trying to be able to come back on here as they run. Let's see if he is able to do it. Again, I like that style, running down the hill off of turn 4 to see if he's got anything there. And now here comes Sylvia, a 19.7, his first lap. That's going to put him P13. Let's see if he's got a better one on this second go.
That is very far down for that 88. Sylvia drives around out of turn 3 and 4. On his second one, 19.2. There we go. That seems a little bit more comparative to most of his efforts. That puts him on the front row ahead of Hassler.
All right, and again, only 18 thousandths of a second separating those two, so a very close margin up at the top of the field. Here is the heat race hero a little bit, Bradley Stefane, who we don't necessarily see normally advance on automatically, but when he's in the heat races or the LCQ, Stefane has been very, very quick.
Yeah, and he had a bit of a rough one at times during last night's race as he heads through 3 and 4. This lap was a little shaky coming onto the backstretch. I'm not sure if this is going to be fast indeed. A 19.6 is only good enough for 14th that first time around. He keeps it on the racing line just about mid-corner there, down through 1 and 2. Let's see if 3 and 4 is going to be steady. No, it's not. He's all the way up to the wall, and that lap is discounted.
Yeah, making contact there with the outside wall. And if you're unfamiliar with the iRacing service, if you do make that contact on the outside wall, that is an automatic discount of your lap time. You will not be able to put a lap time down after doing that. So an unfortunate run there for him. One of our favorite paints, though, Dale Lekas Jr. coming out on track. A very, very festive car.
A very peppermint flavor there on the numbers, and he'll cross the start-finish line and get going. Just 2 days to Christmas if you're watching this after the fact, so it is very close to Christmas time, hence why both DJ and I are also looking festive ourselves. And coming down into 3 and 4, let's see what the 99 can do. He's awful close to the wall, but he stayed off of it, and it's going to be a 19.5.
All right, a 19.5, that's good enough for P13, but we've got to remember here at this point that there is still plenty of time to be able to get that second lap together. That's where we've been seeing a lot of these drivers get a good money lap down right now. So let's see if he's able to get anything. Going to come across the line right now. Lekas Jr. not going to improve on that last lap.
Only 13th at best. We're still waiting on, it looks like, about 5 drivers to qualify. This is Tyler Mueller, who's weaving to warm up his tires. It's pretty cool out there with the sun having gone down at 78 Fahrenheit on the track surface. So no wonder we're seeing a few drivers try and wobble back and forth to get some warmth into them. Well, that was definitely some friction as he slid out of turn 4.
Yep, slides out of turn 4 there, and then now he's going to come down the back straightaway here. Let's see if Muller's got anything underneath him. Going to bring the car around right now. Again, taking that middle line that we like to see a lot of these drivers have. Good line coming off of 4, a 19.3. Now, if he's able to improve on that field, watch out, Muller's quick.
Yeah, that is definitely a little bit closer to the top compared to the last few cars who struggled out there. The 78 running that mid-line out of turn 4. Car looks nice and smooth off of that one, and it pays off. It's a 19.265. He's on the second row.
On the second row here at this point, that's got to be a little bit concerning for the rest of the field. Remember, Muller, very, very quick.
Lugo Vickery in the 241. He's up next. He's going to come around and start that first flyer, and interestingly has New Smyrna on that one. One of the few drivers not hailing from the Midwest region. This is the paint that he actually ran last night as well, but coming from Florida, no wonder he's representing that track down on the Panhandle.
Yeah, exactly. You always kind of want to have a little bit of hometown love there. Shaking his head. Not a good lap here for Lugo Victory. He does not like it. A 19.5. Yeah, he certainly knew that was not a good one.
Only 13th for him, but he's not on the last couple rows. He's at least a little bit farther up on that one. Then we head on back to Matthew Moniak in the number 3. A good number to have in stock car racing. He'll fly out of turn 4 all the way at the bottom to try and straighten up his exit.
Yeah, going to try to straighten it up here at this point, see what he's able to get underneath him. Moniak trying to run here, trying to see if he's got anything more to play for. Let's see if he does. Nice line coming down into turn 3 at the moment. Let's see, though, as he brings his way out and around. Wiggle coming off the 4. I don't think this is going to be a good one. Yeah, 19.5.
In fact, I'm not seeing a lap on that one. Not even a deleted lap. That's very strange. Not sure what's going on.
Yeah, maybe made some contact there with the wall. No black flag given to him, so I'm not entirely sure what the issue there is. Moniak, yeah, only able to do a 19.5.
A 19.591. And, well, they're going to let him go around another lap, it looks like. So, for whatever reason, that first one not counting. This one is now going to cross. And it is a 19.6, so it was slower anyways. And his money lap was that that middle lap. That was a bit strange there. That'll put him into 15th.
Yeah, Joe, I wonder if that's that same issue we saw maybe with Jake Sylvia coming around, that, or not Sylvia, I forget who it was, but not being able to cross with enough time on the board. Nevertheless, Grant Brown, the number 14, your final car out on track to qualify.
Where is he going to wind up placing it? 20 cars setting laps here today. And 21 hopefully will be racing as he comes off of 1 and 2, tries to cut down off of the exit, flying down the long backstretch and into 3 and 4, keeping that midline, but still, again, cutting down low off the corner to try and diamond it off. A 19.4, that's decent.
Yeah, that's P10. Let's see if Brown's got a little bit more in him on lap 2. Again, taking that line, running down the track, coming off of turn 2. Probably going to take the same approach here, diamonding off the corner here a little bit. Come on, Grant, let's see what that number 14 has in store as he crosses the stripe. A 19.3. That is going to move him up in terms of time, but not enough to gain him points.
No, he will start from 10th with that result, with that being the last one. That is everybody having set a time. So let's talk to Bill Balmas one more time, see if we can get him on the horn. Bill, welcome up to the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
There you are. Glad to have you with us. We got your picture up here on the screen now. Tell us a little bit about what Spartamax is.
Spartamax is, we've got a suite of products, but mainly we have a Clean Loop Protect that is a military approved, our rifle bore cleaner that's rifle bore cleaner, and the low temperature automatic weapon lube that's approved. We have a civilian line, but mainly we concentrate on military products.
We can see, obviously, you got the sponsor on a car as well here. How much involvement have you had in racing over the years?
Well, my dad raced back in the 60s, 50s and the 60s, and then he kind of retired from that, and then I started doing it probably 1997. And then I was racing short tracks until 2000. Then I went to road racing, and then I came back to short track.
That's quite the journey. Glad to have you back here on the circle tracks, although we love all different styles of racing here on the channel. Where are you headed out to next? Obviously, we're in the midst of winter, so I anticipate racing is a bit sparse, but do you have a plan for where you're going to hit up the pavement again?
Well, we're gonna concentrate mainly with Madison next year. I've never been. I've seen the track. I always wanted to race there. So yeah, that's one of the ones on my bucket list. We might play a little bit of the Dells, but definitely Madison's going to be our home track.
Well, thank you for both sponsoring the series and coming up to chat with us. Best of luck in your racing endeavors, and can't thank you enough for coming on board.
Thank you, sir.
Bill Balmas from Spartamax helping make sure this show gets on the road. So we'll probably be trying to talk to him maybe once or twice more throughout the season. But we're waiting for the cars to grid up here soon for the heat race. If it's like we understand, DJ, I believe we'll have the heat and then probably not the consolation and head straight to the feature. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to be in store for here, Joe. We've only got a 22-car field, 24 the maximum size here to get into the main event. And so with that in mind, I think we're only going to have the one heat race. I do see we've officially transferred over here at this point, so if you give us about 5 seconds, we should have an idea of exactly what it will shake out to. As I look at my screen here at this point, no, it looks like we will have a consolation race. The top 6 will advance on from the heat race, and then we will have a 15-lap consi, and everyone should advance on from that, but it should just determine starting order.
All right, well, sounds like cars are gridding now, so let's go through our heat starting grid. It'll be Keegan Busch on the pole position with Tyler Lugo-Vickery starting in second. Matt Urban will be P3 and Matthew Moniak will start from fourth. Dale Lekas Jr. is P5 today. Jaden Dahlberg is 6th and Bradley Stefane 7th. Kendall Becker will begin from 8th. Travis Wilhite will start from 9th. Alex Lopachinski, I believe, has been sent home prematurely, so we should only see 9 cars starting this event.
Yeah, we should only see those 9 here at this point. And again, this is going to be very indicative of how this race is going to go. I would hope here that these drivers take it a little bit calm. With only 3 spots losing out here at this point, I don't think it's going to be that necessary to be too aggressive. Specifically, watch for the top 5 here or so to be very calm in the way that they run.
I believe this track, if I remember correctly, is even twice as long as what we saw at Oxford. It's 0.6 of a mile. You compare that to what I think was either 3 to 4 tenths of a mile there for Oxford Plain Speedway up in Maine. And as we've been mentioning, much steeper banking, much longer straights as well. So this is going to be a very different complexion. That also means if we do get any wrecks here today, higher speeds means bigger stakes when it comes to those incidents.
Yeah, it certainly does, and you do not want to find yourself running into problems there when it comes to those wrecks, as they could be particularly brutal around this high-speed circuit.
They don't have a spare car either. They had one last night at North Wilkesboro with it being a special event. But with the regular touring series, it is you break it, you bought it. So keep it in good condition. You'll be able to get back out in a fresh car in the later races if you have something happen here in the heat. But as for the heat itself, you got to deal with it. Green flag is out as they head down past Barney up towards turn 1. It's a good start here for Keegan Busch, who holds the lead ahead of Lugo-Vickery, who gets a little bit loose, and that causes Urban to check up.
Yeah, a little bit of a check up there. That was going to be Vickery, Urban, and Moniak all kind of involved in that there. The big loser going to be Matthew Moniak, stuck up on the high side there. He's going to be losing a number of positions as they continue to try to go through the corners.
Looks like they're going to get single file, a slip up there from Lekas Jr. Slides to the inside, not seeing a caution. He doesn't hit anybody. He doesn't run into anything.
And that's going to be one of the advantages here at Thompson. We do have a little bit of spillage area down to the inside of the circuit, so they're going to be able to keep clean and green if cars do get deposited down to the inside. But we ride on board with Lugo-Vickery, as that's going to be Matt Urban taking a big look up his inside.
Lugo-Vickery is trying his best to hold on to this P2. This will determine starting position for the feature race, as well as who has to go over the consolation as well amongst this group. But it does look like Urban is quick right now. He's been trying to find a way by, but that low line, you were talking about how the middle lane is the desired one. Should he maybe move up to try and see if he can do something here?
Well, this is where the tightness of the track comes into play. Big squiggle there out of Lugo-Vickery, as the problem is if you try to move too high up on that run, you're going to find yourself in the marbles, Joe. So it's a little bit of having to choose the lesser of two evils as we now ride on board with Kendall Becker a little farther back in the field. He's trying to close down on Jaden Dahlberg for that final transfer spot.
And in fact,
Lugo-Vickery around.
Ooh, and that's going to be our first yellow of the night. That's on the front stretch. I'm going to guess something off of turn 4. Don't see damage on the car, so he seems to have gotten away with it. He's checking the mirrors, making sure he doesn't come back out on the track in front of somebody. Let's take a look and see what caused this here, DJ.
I think this was a little bit of contact here with Matt Urban. There you can see actually the 52 of Travis Wilhite having a problem down down off of turn 2. Yeah, just a little bit of miscommunication there with Lugo Vickery and Matt Urban.
Tried to get on the throttle earlier, and well, he did, but there was a car there and kind of pushed him around. This will give a better angle to see if there was contact. Yeah, just a little touch. And that sends the 241 around. Barney's on it, waving the yellow flag.
Yep, waves the yellow flag there, and that's going to bring it out. Let's take another look on board Matt Urban. I think this was just a miscommunication here, Joe. I think Lugo Vickery thought he had a little bit more space than he actually did. Brought the car down low. That clearly didn't play out, and there you saw the contact.
Well, these are short races. We're going to be restarting with, I think, 2 to go here. And it's going to be a quick one as we have changed to a single file restart, so it's not going to be double file for this one. They want to make sure and get this one finishing under green. If they can get to the white flag, they will. Here we go. There is the green flag. Ooh, big checkup behind. The one to really take advantage of it is Jaden Dahlberg. He goes up to 3rd. Could he go up to 2nd? He's way up in the marbles. Can he bring it back down in time? He does.
A little bit of a looseness there, though, but as you said, a great restart there for Jaden Dahlberg to be able to get that to go. The question is now, is he going to be able to hold off an attack from Bradley Stefane down on the inside?
Gave a hello to Matt Urban, but he's pinched, he's blocked on the outside. He's pinched down at the bottom. That is Stefane way too up high for Dahlberg. Over ambitious on the grip of those tires, and all the good work that he did is undone up at the front. It is Keegan Bush around the final corner and to the line. Lights the flag. Victory for the 27.
An absolute heartbreak for Jaden Dahlberg, as he is going to be the first driver to lose out on those automatic transfer positions courtesy of that incident, Joe.
And they have actually skipped the consolation race. So looks like we're going to get going here in a moment. And there is your Heat 1 results. Bush taking the win over Urban and Stefane. But the good news is this has set the order for the feature race itself. And in fact, we didn't see it on screen, but the track has elected to even have some fireworks here tonight.
Yeah, they're going to be firing off here at this point. So a 22-car grid about to make their way out. Joe, I think you're ready to take it away.
There you see those fireworks. Here is the grid, and starting on the pole, Michael Weissman with the regrid is on the top spot. Deegan Smith will be on P2. Charlie Bates will start 3rd, and Tyler Mueller in 4th. Evan Hassler, P5 for him, is followed by Jake Sylvia in 6th, and Tanner Burge rounding out your regrid in 7th. It's Timmy Spatz starting 8th today. Then it's going to be John Gifford in 9th, and row 5 is ended by Grant Brown.
As we move back into row 6, here at this point, it'll be Kyle Adams, followed by Chris Story in P12. P13 in the inside of row 7 is going to be Keegan Bush and Matt Urban to his outside. Moving back through the field, Bradley Stefane lines up in P15. Kendall Becker will be P16. P17 on the day is going to be Dale Legas Jr., and then Tyler Lugo Vickery will be in P18. P19 will be Jake Dahlberg. Travis Wilhite is P20. P21 will be Grant Brown.
Okay, so drivers ready to go. They'll have 2 pace laps. They already finished the first one. Let's remember that they do not have a set of tires to change to. It's this set all the way for 100 laps. How much saving do you think they're going to have to do, DJ?
I think they're going to have to do a pretty decent amount here at this point. It's not going to be easy to get this car to be getting themselves around here. This is a high-speed track. High speed means more abrasion.
Okay, so on to the back stretch. You're going to see this pit entry. If anybody does need to come into pit lane, they do have to watch out because it's a bit of a tricky one. There it is right there. It peels off early. So you have to really get the car woed up if you need to come into there for whatever reason. Green flag held aloft. and now being waved as we go racing here for round 6 in the Misfit Touring Series. Deegan Smith up around the outside of Michael Weissman, who drifts up a little bit. He's going to lose the lead on lap 1.
He's going to lose the lead on lap 1. That high line proving to be the way to go here early on. Also watch out for Jake Sylvia working that high lane coming up from about P5 as we've got our first caution of the day farther back in the field.
Ugo Vickery looks like he's involved in that. I think he had a little help from Travis Wilhite, unfortunately, sending him up into the wall. I think there was some slight contact with other cars, including Dahlberg on top of things. And let's see, this should be into turn 3. I think he bounces off the rear bumper.
Yeah, keeping our eye on that new Smyrna Speedway machine. There it is, just that contact there, and I think that was just a miscommunication. Again, Wilhite just not recognizing that there was going to be a big enough of a checkup in front of him.
Yeah, so we're watching the replay one more time here. And sometimes with everybody so close together and with the longer braking zones of this track, I'm not too surprised that somebody just misanticipated on where the car ahead is going to wind up. There's the touch, straight into the outside wall. Hits the back of it decently hard, too.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a tough run there for him, I've got to imagine. Not what he wanted to have happen necessarily, as there you can see the spin around, and there it is from Wilhite's perspective of what that hit is like.
Okay, so that's 2 drivers that were involved in that one getting turned a little bit, but everybody else still pointed forward. And up at the top of it is going to be Tyler Mueller leading over Deegan Smith this time. Weissman has fallen to 3rd, and Charlie Bates sits in 4th. This is changing up the restart order. Will that also change up the dynamics once they get up to speed? Here we go. Green flag is out once again. And coming to the line, it's a pretty good start from Deegan Smith. He's able to hold ahead of Tyler Mueller, although Mueller is still fighting back around the outside. Somebody way up against the wall. That was Bates.
And Mueller also making big contact with the wall. That's going to open up an opportunity here for Michael Weissman to come down to the inside, but Mueller going to be able to carry a little bit more speed. 3 wide farther back in the field.
Things looking pretty frantic here at the start. We're only on lap 6 of this race. This thing has barely started, and we are trying to see if we can get it fully underway. Looks like they are still battling fierce for 3rd up ahead of us as we ride on board with Chris Story down in number 67.
All right, Story trying to gain a few positions here as they work their way up through the field. There you can see his ability to close in a little bit more now that there isn't that stack up in front of him necessarily. That'll be good for Story.
Yeah, he's going to want that to stay how it is, for at least for now. And as they come down into turn 1, Smith, Mueller, Hassler, your top 3. Not too shocked that Evan Hassler has already made up a few positions here up into the podium spots. Now, what can he do from that point on? Will he try and keep charging, or is he also going to try and back off and preserve his tires?
Well, we'll have to see. That's one of the big questions here at this point is how do you manage this race? Where do you want to be in this race? And when do you want to put yourself into that position? It's a lot of question marks here. And I think one driver that definitely looks like they're managing their tires, Jake Sylvia. Jake, one of the fastest drivers in this Misfit Touring Series, doesn't feel the need right now to get super, super aggressive. He's just slowly holding on to that 5th place position.
I'm with you on that one. Jake's a smart driver. I'm sure he's going to try and be thinking ahead as we hop on board with Kendall Becker now, racing for 14th position. That's Kyle Adams in front of him. Way down to the bottom here for Kendall. Not afraid to use that more shallow line.
Yeah, he's going to try to work on that shallow line here at this point. I mean, that's not going to pay out exactly well for him, but if he can get a good rhythm down there, keep with it.
Watch and see what he does this time through 3 and 4 once again. Rides a little higher, so, oh, and a slap of the wall by the 24 this time. Certainly looks like he is struggling to try and keep the car from sliding off the corner. So is Kendall, who just about gets into the side of Grant Brown, or actually reverse that. Brown almost got into the side of Kendall.
Yeah, and that's not going to be the best run there. You do not want to be making contact at this point in the running. Big move down to the inside for the number 14 machine. There's some moves coming on there. Grant Brown doesn't want to wait around.
No, and that's going to allow him to get ahead of Kendall Becker. Also, looks like Dale Leakus Jr. going to try and get underneath Becker. He does. He grabs himself 16th place.
Well, there you go. Just the way you've got to try to move forward here. You see those opportunities present themselves, and you've absolutely got to be able to capitalize here as you run, Joe.
Kyle Adams working on the fight with Grant Brown. Brown fends him off. That opens Adams up to vulnerability from Dale Leakus Jr., who gets his nose inside briefly, but has to back out of it. But it does look like this is a case of as soon as somebody in front of you makes a move, you got to pounce.
Yeah, you've absolutely got to go. Great slide job there as the 45 of Weissman tries to look down to the inside there on Sylvia. We said Sylvia was going to be biding his time a little bit. That looks exactly like what he's doing.
So move Jake Sylvia up into P4. He's lost some ground. I wonder if he saw Hassler, Mueller, Smith start to run away a bit and says, okay, I got to pick things up. I can't let them put too big of a distance on me.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what his thought process is. I mean, Sylvia, very calm and patient, and if he knows that there's a move inbound, he has got to absolutely go for it.
Weissman and Burge also fighting. Hassler, though, is our fastest driver on the track currently. He'll cross the line once again. He's got Mueller in his crosshairs, seeing if he could maybe get something down inside of that number 78. We're only 18 laps in. Drivers don't need to hustle, but it does seem like some of those up at the front are feeling a bit of urgency now that we've had a few drivers unleash their speed.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't want to be in that position here at this point. I mean, they do not want to be sitting behind the 8 ball. They do not want to have to be waiting here for any of them to work their way forward. So I think this is going to be a point where we've got another caution out on the track.
I'm trying to see where this started. I know the 3 got involved because he was facing the wrong way. And I think Grant Brown might be about where this one starts. No, it looks like Timmy Spatz. Okay, so Spatz gets some help. He winds up facing the wrong way. And a couple cars trying to play avoiding action sends the 24 absolutely barrel rolling. And again, no spare car. We'll have to see if that 24 still is in good enough shape that he can carry on.
Oh, yeah, and we didn't talk about it on this broadcast necessarily, Joe, but when you have these style of cars, it's relatively low-slung noses here at this point with a high bumper on the car, and so you can have that if you get into the back of one another. Very easy to flip them over.
And sadly, we've already seen that here today, only 21 laps into it. So there's one more look at it. You'll see it head on as the cars take avoiding action, and the 24 thankfully did not hop over the barrier, because you can do that. You can see there's no fence right there. They push the stands back a little bit to where they have sort of a victory lane just behind the flag stand. And if you get over there, I think it's possible to return to the track, but it's very hard.
Yeah, very, very difficult to get back on the track if you find yourself down in that position. It's not exactly the easiest way to be able to get anything to play, so not great there for any of the drivers that did find themselves in that position. But we're going to get back here. I've got to say, I like what I'm seeing out of Sylvia. Keep an eye on him during this restart. I want to see how aggressive he's going to go, making sure he doesn't lose touch with Hassler, Mueller, and Smith.
That's a good point. It's been backed up now, and it's been cut down. All that gap that he had to make up has been erased for him, and he's going to have to try and collect on this. He's had an opportunity fall into his lap. Can he capitalize and use some of this speed that he's been showing to chase down Deegan Smith and Tyler Mueller just in front of him as we take a look at our drivers? And we've got Vickery here on the left, who I have to say, from what we've seen from him, it seems like a very cool character. It's not often you see him emote much.
No, he's very calm, cool, and collected in the way that he drives, and I've got to say, Joe, a lot of respect for that. We talk to a lot of drivers out on the circuit, and they always talk about the fact that you don't want to drive with emotion. If you drive with emotion, your battle's already lost. You're going to see that red mist, and it's not going to play out.
So have we gone back to double file here, or are we doing single file restarts? Looks like lights are out, and they are double file. So we are going to restart this race 2 wide. And don't forget, if you want to tune in on podiumesports.com, you can watch directly through the website. A big welcome to everybody that's already doing that. Just click the live tab on the website. Green flag is out, and it is Deegan Smith with the jump over Tyler Mueller. Watch out for Hassler back there in 3rd position on the bottom, challenging the 78, but getting loose off of 2.
Oh, get a little bit squirrely there off of 2. Going to try to hold it together. Here comes the 88. Sylvia looking for a move on the outside.
Hasn't finished it yet, and he won't get to finish it because we already have a caution. See a couple cars that are scattered on the front stretch, and I see Travis Wilhite in the grass. And he is our second driver to go over onto his lid here today.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of that than I would have expected, Joe. But again, that's just the high speeds of Thompson coming back to bite. Let's take a look on board here at exactly what happens. Good lines through the corner. Starts to lose it there a little bit. I think that loss then preceded contact with the 24. Lost control. 24 couldn't check up, and that's exactly what it is. It stuck the landing.
I mean, if you land rubber side up, that's the biggest struggle right there, because otherwise you have to take a tow into pit lane, and that's automatically costly here in the sim. You have to wait a certain amount of time before it'll say you have been towed to the pits by the visible wrecker. Let's see from John Gifford's view as he comes down off of turn 4, and the seas just parted. I don't know how he would have known that there was going to be a car there.
Yeah, there's really nothing Gifford could have done there at that point. I mean, it's just absolutely in his way, nowhere to go, and he really doesn't have any sort of recourse to be able to get around.
Let's not forget, laps do not count here under caution, so that's why it's not changing when you see them go to yellow, and they'll have to sit and wait and get stacked up once again. But we have been getting some stints of green, thankfully, so we've been getting some good racing out there. And apologies, excuse me, we are back to the laps counting here, so we have changed the rules on that one, so I forgot what we had switched to here, and the laps do count. So this will continue to tick down as we carry on, but we wait for the lights to go out on the pace car and get restarted. We're almost a third of the way through already.
Yeah, almost there at this point, so that's good running to be able to see that we're going to be able to get our way through this race, but not necessarily seeing what it is. Again, though, seeing the draft not necessarily come into that maximum as much as we thought, but the line, Joe, very, very crucial here to be able to pay attention to. And the narrow track, we've already seen the problems. 3 cautions here in only 30 laps.
And not only that, and drivers unable to do anything to avoid. They have that the apron down at the bottom with the grass, but people have not been able to keep from running into their competitors despite that. So yeah, it's looking like this track is definitely catching a number of people out. They still have lights on the pace car, but I think they should be going out this time through. Deegan Smith, though, up there towards the front of this field, leading the way, if anything, in that number 15, has had the track advantage, and the track advantage does seem to be relatively important today from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it really does. We haven't seen a lot of passes be able to be made around the outside here at this point, so I really do think that track advantage is absolutely crucial in the way that it runs, and clearly very, very good to have. So I think these drivers that are up towards the front of the field, they're going to want to be able to stay there.
Those tires, Hassler, Sylvia, are they holding on to them? Do they have more left in the tank? Green flag is out. Hopefully we'll find out soon. It's a good jump from Deegan Smith as Tyler Mueller tries to chop across to hold on to that second place. It's a battle between Hassler and Sylvia as we got a wreck behind, and we get a caution almost prematurely there. Don't think anybody fully got turned around, but it looked like a mess there briefly.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, I'll tell you that. We had definitely a couple of cars spinning around at that point. Some pretty hefty damage there on the number 24 machine. That is your series organizer, Kyle Adams. That's not going to be helping the handling on the high-speed track here. Let's watch exactly what happened. Kyle trying to catch up to the back of the field here, but I think this took place just a little bit in front of him. Contact there with the number 20, trying to hold on to it, and there, down to the inside. Well, that was just kind of sketchy from the beginning. I think somebody, well, not sure where that fired off.
It was out of turn 2. It was Charlie Bates who just about turned. So if we watch the 34 on the restart, he's the one that just about gets pushed all the way around, but somehow gathers the car up in time. Trying to see who got into him from behind there.
That looks like the number 36 there. I think that's Jaden Dahlberg.
Yes, it is. Good catch on that one. So Dahlberg causing a bit of an incident, and they'll slow up once again. They are waving a couple cars around. They're trying to get them back on the lead lap. Matt Urban, one of them, and Grant Brown. And great catch there. Seems like Bates has definitely got his head on his shoulders today.
Yeah, certainly does. Very, very good catch. And that's really hard to do, especially when you're having a little bit of that contact going on through. That can really, really be detrimental to you as a driver. And the fact that he was able to hold on to it, massive credit.
Love that we are racing here, and love that they've got this triple header up in the Northeast. It's not as often associated with the public who thinks of maybe oval racing with the South, but the Northeast has a rich tradition, and Thompson is there amongst it as the green flag is out. Big jump for Deegan Smith, who goes to single file restart this time, and Mueller drifts a little bit high off of turn 2. There's a stream of hungry cars behind him ready to try and attack.
Yep, they're trying to be able to get to him, but Smith has just been able to absolutely ace these restarts. It's really, really impressive what he's been able to do. So let's see if he's able to keep up that run clean through the first lap as the field starts to fan themselves out a little bit.
You can still see Hassler trying to get down to the lower side off of turn 2 to square off the corner, get the launch down the main straight, but so is the 88 of Jake Sylvia in behind him. Has not been able to get enough that he could get the car side by side. I think that's going to be key here, getting that overlap, DJ.
Yeah, the overlap is what you've got to get, and the rest of the field just doesn't look like they have it here at this point, so they're going to be trying to hold on right now. The 88 looking, but I just don't see that opportunity to get on by here at this moment.
I think we've had our first DNF of the night. Jaden Dahlberg looks like he is out of this race. 20 cars still circulating out right now, and down through 3 and 4 you can see how close Hassler has been getting to Mueller as we get another yellow, and I see Charlie Bates involved again, and this time I think he may have ran into the wall there.
Yeah, I think he may have as well. This has some of the hallmarks here of a single car incident. Let's take a look at the podium replay. It's going to be a battle there. No, excuse me, that was contact there with the number 27 machine. That's Keegan Bush, and it looks like he just came up the worst for wear.
That was very close, just about a foot farther up the road, and he would have slapped into the pit entry wall. So you're going to see from on board, and there goes the 34, and whew, big smack up the backside as well, unfortunately.
Now let's take another look from above here at this point. Here you can see it, just maybe a little bit too of an over-aggressive move coming down into the corner that spins him around, and oh, yeah, there is that lift up in the air for the 241 of Lugo Vickery.
Lugo Vickery could have reason to be a little bit irritated for being harassed there from behind, and he'll at least be able to carry on. He'll be racing 9th. This is Timmy Spatz's view. Tries to slow up, doesn't hit a single person despite multiple cars across the track, all looking like they are scattering in front of him. Great heads up there by Timmy.
Yeah, very, very good heads up to be able to avoid that incident. That could have ended an absolute catastrophe, and the fact that Timmy was able to get out, get around that, and not have anything come back to bite, very, very good.
Glad to see. Yes, we've had a couple messy incidents out there, but for the most part, it's been 1 or 2 cars so far. Not many of them involving more than that. And for the most part, I haven't seen too many with major damage, as evidenced by the fact that we only have Dahlberg, the only car out at this stage. But the stewards have not been happy with the number of cautions, hence why even 43 laps in, we've gone single file on our restarts as we get ready for one right now. And Deegan Smith has gotten very used to these restarts because he continues to jump away each time the green comes out.
And this may be his best jump that he certainly has been able to get here at this point. Very, very impressive stuff for him. He's already got a gap of about 0.4 of a second. Field looks like at this point they're starting to fan themselves out a little bit, bring everything back around as we check in on that battle a little bit farther back. Hassler trying to work on the back of Muller, and Sylvia right there behind him as well.
Yeah, the battle for P2 has not really gone away each and every restart. They've stayed nose to tail, basically from second on down to about 5th position as we ride on board with Tanner Burge in P5, following behind Hassler and Sylvia, practically touching one another as they fly through the corner.
Yep, really putting the moves on here at this point as they go. Let's see if anybody's got anything. Ooh, that was a big slide for Muller, making contact with the outside wall.
Not something you want to do. Tyler maybe losing a little bit of traction now that we're starting to get underway. Again, open setup here. We don't know who has a good short run and who has a good long run car.
Yeah, we really don't, and we don't know how these drivers have set up for that. How are they going to respond to it? How are they going to act? Jake Sylvia, we've got a sneaking suspicion that he tends to have a little bit of a long run car, but we'll have to see how that plays itself out here as they go. Here he just continues to work his way around as we take a look back on board with Lugo Vickery in 9th place at the moment.
Coming off of turn 2, he's chasing on Keegan Bush, and they've also got Dale Lekas Jr. in behind them. But we watch from the helmet cam of the number 241, who looks a little bit low on the 27. Can't get the overlap though.
Can't get the overlap, but let's see if he's able to get anything else to go. He looks like he's running better lines here at this point, Joe, just trying to be able to get that to work, trying to see if he can get anything to play. Take another look farther up in the field. This is Sylvia. Again, patience the virtue here for Sylvia. Not sure if it's going to pay out, though.
And behind them, Story has gone off track in the number 67. He was side by side as well, but no caution, doesn't hit anything. He's back on the circuit, although it looks like he's got pretty dirty tires as he struggles to get it to turn into turn 3.
Yeah, struggling a little bit there at the moment. Not sure if he's going to be able to have a little bit of a harder run or what's going to happen there to him. Oh, these cars are starting to get very, very slidey right now. That's not what they want to see. That's not what they want to have going. Let's see if anything else can come out to play.
And I mean, with half the race left to go here, you don't want to have already lost your tires side by side. Bates coming back through the field. He's only up to 15th right now, trying to see if he can get P14 off of Kendall Becker.
All right, is he going to be able to get that to play? Going to look down to the inside. Is that number 34 of Charlie Bates? We know he's got speed, but is he going to have enough to get anything to go? He's going to keep with him down to the inside. Let's see.
Wheel to wheel out of turn 2 and onto the back stretch. He has not cleared Bates quite yet, who's still hassling him down on the bottom, way up to the outside for Becker. That might give up the ghost. No, he finds a great exit off the turn and is making the fight carry on. But once again, he is sending this car far up the banking.
Yeah, he's really trying to make it work. He's got to be a little bit difficult there, though, to watch out for those marbles. You've got to make sure you don't get up into them. As we take a look back on board Lekas Jr., and I think that was Lugo Vickery down to his inside.
Yeah, I think you're right. That is Lugo Vickery in front of us right now, vying for 7th position on Keegan Bush, down into 3 and 4. The pink, or the magenta and black car rides up just a little bit higher. Does seem like some of the lines are changing now that we're getting a steady long green flag run.
Yeah, and that's what I talked about at the beginning of the race. This oval refresh really has done that to all of these circuits. They've made them far more dynamic in the way that they run.
I love what iRacing has done on this one. Definitely causing some of them to have to try and search and see if they can find a slightly quicker line around this track and get creative out there. Also, wonder how that's what that's gonna do to the handling of these cars as the race goes by too, and the line changes. If you've set it up for the bottom, but the fast one is up top, oof, that's gonna be rough.
It's going to be very, very rough, and that's one of those things that you've got to kind of take into consideration when you talk about running a circuit like this. You've got to think about the whole race and how that whole race is going to develop.
Back to Jake Sylvia, up towards the front. He's still on the back of Hassler, who both of these drivers were basically up and down the order back at North Wilkesboro last night, but still charging hard and both looking mighty fast, and in fact fast enough that the 88 is going to send one up the inside. He drifts up the track and gets out of the throttle. Nearly ran into Evan.
That was a little bit of a sketchy move from Jake Sylvia. I've got to say, I think with 41 left to go in this race, he's starting to feel the pressure. He wants to try to get this move on as quickly as possible. He does not want to be waiting around anymore because he knows what Deacon Smith is doing at the front of this field.
Yeah, he's a second and a half back from the leader, so he kind of needs to boogie at this stage and see if he can overtake these cars and chase down Deacon Smith. Or will that pole position from the number 15, will that front row start from the number 15 give him the chance to take the win of this race just by holding that frontwards spot? Side by side once again between the 241 and this time with Dale Lekas Jr. down into 3 and 4. Lekas on the bottom. It looks like he could slide up and finish the job, but he decides not to. Into the wall goes Luco Vickery.
Oh, and that was just a hard slap from pushing too much around the circuit, and he's going to have a little bit of right side damage. Although, as we've always said, no expression there from Luco Vickery. He is just absolutely focused in. There's a shake of the head.
Yeah, that's the disappointment that we were kind of expecting on that one. He's slow now, car dropping backwards as Timmy Spatz as well gets to his outside and might be able to demote him. Mueller being given a bit of a hello just before the yellow flag comes out. John Gifford, Bradley Stefane look to be involved there.
Yeah, I think that was the two of them that were involved in that one, so a little bit unfortunate there for them that they're going to find themselves brought out onto the circuit and having that issue here at this point. Let's take a look at the replay.
So we fly down into turn 1, car to the inside, and unfortunately the 46 did not know that he had a nose just inside him, cuts down across, and that's what sends them both down to the apron.
Yep, that's going to be just enough to be able to do that and send him on down and through. There's that contact. Yeah, I would call that a little bit of a racing incident there, Joe, if I'm honest, though.
You know who that helped? Bates squeaked through that there on the high side. So he gets 13th place. He's not been just flying by drivers, which surprises me a little bit. That 34 still down in 13th at this stage of the race, to me says that it's unlikely that we'll see him back up and challenging for the win. But you never know. Maybe we could get some weirdness going on with some wrecks or some cautions.
We've seen stranger things happen in races such as this, Joe, so I'm not counting anything out as it runs. But they are going to come around here, 30 laps left to go, not a lot of time on the clock. I'm very interested to see now off of this restart yet again, as we know that Jake Sylvia has gotten a little bit of the get up and go underneath him, and I wonder if that's going to be the impetus he needs to push himself up ahead.
I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Sylvia try to make some more aggressive moves, because it does look like he wants to try and make some passes and be up with the leader to try and go for the win. But what he thinks he can do and what can actually be done might be two different things. We'll watch and we'll see. He's hanging back a little bit here. He'll have to get stacked up behind the 78 soon.
Yeah, have to get stacked up here, and it looks like because of that long green flag run, they've turned things over here and made it double file restarts. So that is going to be something else here to keep in mind. Maybe a little bit more consternation, maybe a little bit more craziness with those double file restarts coming back.
We'll get one more lap around behind the pace car, then we'll be released once again. Honestly, Deegan Smith seems like he has got a really good handle on this one, although he just blinked a little bit on our screen. He currently sits in 8th, I believe, no, 9th in the points. Yeah, 9th in the points, but is doing his best to try and see if he can get sent farther up. No, excuse me, he's 5th in the points right now, is the number 15. So could have a huge leap up the order if he can take this win, especially considering Jake Sylvia is ahead of him in the points. Green flag is out, and there you go. Look at that side-by-side action with Hassler fighting with the 88, although he sends it in deep and manages to challenge on Mueller in the 78. We get an immediate caution with what looks like Timmy Spats bounced off the exit of 2.
Yep, just bouncing off the exit of 2 there, and that's very unfortunate, I would have to say, for the battle that we were seeing take place between Tyler Mueller and Evan Hassler. They looked very, very close to one another. Let's watch it from Bradley Stefane there. You can see the car just up into the outside. Oh, domino effect back through the field.
Once again, things are happening so fast out on the track that as soon as a wreck happens, if you don't have a good sight line of what's ahead of you, you just basically are running in blind, and you can't get the car woed up in time. This is one more angle on the incident, and it seems like Timmy was trying to do the right thing here, because he sees the 67 have a bobble. He checks up, but he also gets tipped, I think, a little bit. So that maybe set him loose, and just kind of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time there to be in, that's just what happens sometimes in short track racing. I don't think there's really any blame to necessarily be passed there at that point, Joe. Just an unfortunate sequence of events.
Okay, well, we'll see what sort of ending that Lemony Snicket has written for our drivers on this one. Stefane might have met the end because he's down into pit lane to take repairs. So we've got 18 cars left on the lead lap. Will we still have 20 of them out racing by the time we get the restart? Because I'm not sure if you have to come into pit lane, it must be pretty bad.
Yeah, especially with only 28 to go. That is a suboptimal time to have to come down into the pits and potentially lose a lap.
All right, pace car is in. Drivers ready to go. You can see the focus on their faces, and Deegan Smith accelerates away. We're back to single file once again. Deegan jumping off to the front as Tyler Mueller has withstood lots of pressure from a pair of lightning fast drivers behind him. A big look to the inside from the 88 of Jake Sylvia. In fact, he bounces off of Hassler. That's going to give him the position.
All right, there it is. A little bit of rubbing, a little bit of racing here coming out to play. Let's see if any more of that continues on here at this point, as that does give him the position as they run. They're going to stay single file up at the front of the field, a little bit of side-by-side farther back as they go, but let's see what everybody else can do. Cars in the wall.
And one up on top of the other. Chris Story almost riding John Gifford there through turn 3. This one, let's see if we can figure this one out. This is on board with Gifford. Watch off of turn 2. I think this is a case of not clear, driver, and driver's not listening. Watch the 67. Yep. Just tangled.
Yeah, just tangled mid-contact there to the outside wall. The 67 clearly not passed. They kind of thought they were at that point, so that's an unfortunate incident that has to be said.
And John Gifford looks like he has been given a DQ for that one. I kind of wondered because it looked like I couldn't hear, but it seemed like he did not lift off the throttle in that incident.
No, I don't think he did, and I think that was maybe just a little bit of anger coming out to play there for him, maybe just a little bit of upsettedness coming out to play, not really what they wanted to have happen, and, just an unfortunate incident there, as we said.
Well, there's our next one gone. Stefan is still taking repairs. So is Kendall Becker. Travis Wilhite has popped in within the last minute. Not sure what that one is about. And so they're suddenly dropping like flies. In fact, of our 21 starters, literally half of them have been down in pit lane in a series which does not have tire changes or fuel stops.
Yeah, I mean, that is a real testament to just how scruffy this race has been. It's been cleaner than I think we've seen some of the other races that we've covered over the course of the season, Joe. But I think the biggest thing for this here at this point is the speed, as we're back up to green conditions.
Green flag is out. Deegan Smith with another good jump, but here comes Jake Sylvia down to the inside. Last time it was a bit of a bump and run. Is he going to do the same? He stays off the side of Tyler Mueller in the number 78/number 1 car. They go nose to tail once again and look behind him. A rather irritated Hassler almost gets to the bumper of Sylvia.
All right, down into the inside here. Hassler wants to make this play, I think. He knows we've got 21 laps to go and wants to get a little bit of a move on. The good news is they're starting to break away here a little bit from Michael Weissman farther back in the field.
I wonder if we're going to get some tit for tat there. I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and Evan knows that Jake kind of used him as a way to turn into the corner, just slamming into the side of that car. He's right up on top of him. You can see he wants to try and get through. Actually, this is from on board Mueller looking back at Sylvia, I think.
Yeah, Sylvia really starting to pressure the back here of that number 78 machine, trying to see if he can get in closer. Not able to make it play there, but he's looking down low. Big slide, though, for Sylvia.
That's the second time I've seen him slide off of turn 2. He's using up the rears, but it's less than 20 laps to go. If you're going to use them, now's the time.
Yeah, now's the time to use him. You've got to go, 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 and I think that's exactly what Sylvia knows. He wants to try to close in as much as possible. Looks for a little bit of a crossover, but that's not going to play in. Another squiggle there out of the 88.
He's pushing hard. Is he going to pay for it later down the line, though? He can't. I don't think he's going to be able to do this lap after lap. Bounce off the wall there from Tyler Mueller. This opens the door. Sylvia gets to the inside, tries to bounce off of him once again, but this time it doesn't work.
This time it doesn't work, and he's not going to get it to go. Now they're going to be behind, and a big move up into the inside there for Hassler, almost bumping Sylvia out of the way.
In fact, that was pretty much exactly what we saw before. And trying to turn into the corner of the 88, unfortunately can't get to the line. He winds up in the wall, falls back a little bit, but my goodness, the tempers have boiled over.
They have, and now they've got something else to worry about. Bradley Stefan, lap traffic down to the inside.
This is going to get spicy if we get another yellow flag before this is over and they get bunched back up. For now, they have been separated just by the hard racing, and so hopefully they've gone back to each of their respective corners in the ring, and we'll get some time to cool off.
Yeah, that's what we hope here at this point, because tempers can definitely flare when we talk about short track racing like this, and I think particularly among these drivers you're going to see a lot of it. We still have some battles farther back in the field, though. This is Timmy Spatz, currently in 12th place, trying to work his way up forward on Lugo Vickery.
Yeah, this is the battle for 10th. Matt Urban and Lugo Vickery just in front of him. Whoa, Keegan Busch! Keegan Busch finds himself going 3 wide as he collects the car. Looks like he had a little bit of help. I was about to say earlier that Bates had made up a bunch of spots, and right now he's picked off a few more. Look at this, up in front of him, and the confusion and disappointment from Lugo Vickery there. He's trying to make it 3 wide down at the bottom. Are we going to be able to get out of this staying green? Both of them slapping the wall.
Slapping the wall on the outside. That's Lugo Vickery there, just trying to get a better line and carrying a little bit too much momentum out to the outside. Now he's going to have a run here on Keegan Busch on the outside, coming into 3 and 4.
My goodness. And more shakes of the head. Vickery is the disappointed dad in this race. Just not happy with what he is seeing out there. They've gone back to single file finally. And Charlie Bates is up to 7th because of all that chaos.
Yeah, and that is good news for Charlie Bates. He'll be able to hold on to that position, but he's got about 2 seconds to try to make up to Michael Weissman in front of him. Meanwhile, Jake Sylvia back on the rear here of Evan Hassler.
Okay, Sylvia's caught him back up. So are they even now, DJ, or is Sylvia going to do it again? Are they going to make more contact?
Well, we will have to see here as they come down through the corner. Let's see if they're able to get anything right now. Hassler working. Sylvia wants that inside line.
Sylvia with a bit of damage on the left front of his car as well. So you can tell he's been through the wars. He goes a little bit higher, chops down to the low side to try and straighten out the exit. We are down to a mere 8 laps to go in this race. There is not much left in it.
Not much left at all. Let's see if anything plays out here at this point. Oh, big move down to the inside, and that's going to be too much.
Tries the slide job, but it fails, and Hassler was wise to it. He let him through, and he is back up onto the podium. This is all happening behind P1 and P2, who are running off laughing ahead of them.
Yeah, Smith and Muller are very, very happy here at this point. The battle for the final podium position. Let's see if they've got anything here to be able to do. And don't count out Tanner Berg here as well, who may be able to pick up the pieces if there's a problem.
Remember, he started on a pole position. It was because of the regrid, but he'll gladly take a couple spots if two guys are getting a little bit too fierce. Another look to the inside. Is this another slide job? Yes, indeed it is. Pushes him up the track, and now a second slide job. There comes Tanner Burge, who says, all right, if that works for him, works for me too. He's going to get a 2-for-1 potentially. He's down to the inside of Sylvia.
Side by side here with 5 laps to go. Burge spins.
Oh, the 35 off the course. No caution, though. They stay green. He's off the racing line, and he gets going once again. It's not over between Sylvia and Hassler. And we jump a little bit farther back to the battle here between the likes of Bates and Weissman.
Yeah, and they're going to try to sort themselves out here a little bit as they go. Here we're going to ride on board with Jake Sylvia, the beneficiary of all of that coming together. He's held on to 3rd place.
That was quite the send from the 88. I'm very curious to hear what Hassler has to say about that, as well as Jake. He came from a long way back to make that move stick. The number 15, though, look at Deegan Smith coming down to 2 laps to go and utter control of this race.
I mean, he has, since he got up to the front of the field, Joe, just been the dominant force. It's been an impressive run here for Deegan. He's got a little bit of lap traffic that he frankly doesn't have to deal with. He can just coast this back home.
Deegan Smith, you're right. He could just kind of wait patiently as the white flag is out for the number 15, leading practically every lap of this race since the drop of the green. That's the 3 fighting with Kyle Adams. That's 4th position in front of him. Surely he does not want to get involved in this, and he'll try and back off, but they're going to fight for position in front of him as the win goes to Deegan Smith.
A great commanding drive here for Deegan Smith. Muller will come home P2, and Sylvia, after that intense battle, P3.
Woof. I don't know if we have a replay that we can look at on that pass between Sylvia and Hassler, but I'm hoping we can get a second look at it. And I'll have to check and see which lap that one happened on. But that, to me, is one of the stories of the race. I mean, Deegan Smith's definitely worth talking about with the immaculate race that he ran out there. But my goodness, there's going to be drama. That was on lap 95, I believe, that Jake Sylvia made that move.
Yeah, and that's going to be a little bit of a point of consternation here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a little bit of flared tempers carry on into next round.
You can see there the podium finishers going to line up 1, 2, and 3 on the front stretch as we got somebody else joining them. I'm trying to figure out who that is. That is like Grant Brown.
Yeah, the number 14 there. I wonder if that was just a little bit of miscommunication there from Grant. And
You're not third, buddy.
Scampers off back into the ether.
Here we go. Here is the replay, I think, on the pass. Yes, so this is coming along here with the 88. I don't know. What do you think, DJ? Fair move?
I mean, yes and no. It is. This is coming into 94. This is that first slide job that we saw there. Contact there coming through the corner. It's a very late move, Joe. Do I think it needs second looking at? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, this one's hard to discern.
Yeah, here's the second one. Or yeah, okay. I think we're going to be watching the second one now. So that was the first attempt at the slide job that failed on them, and they switched back across. So I think this is the next one. in which they swapped around, and on top of it, they had the other driver come through. I mean, he does kind of use him and lean on him a little bit, but man, what a brilliant bit of timing. It's unfortunate that it didn't wind up going better for the third car there, for the 35.
Yeah, certainly just a good run there for him to be able to get everything to go, but a fantastic end to the race.
That was Tanner Burge, who wound up spinning off to the side. We're going to take a quick break. We'll try and digest all of this. We'll be back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Janice.
What's up, Doug? Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Welcome back to Thompson International Speedway. We saw a lot of crazy moments back at Oxford, but I think this one topped it as Deegan Smith comes home with the win, but his was perhaps one of the most calm races of everyone. Tyler Mueller did have pressure from behind for the first half, but then started to run away. And it was Jake Sylvia in third, who had a back and forth battle with Evan Hassler in the last quarter of the race. And we're very curious that if we can get to talk to either of them to hear their thoughts on it. Michael Weissman went from the pole to fifth today, as Dale Leakes Jr. was in P6, up from 17th, 11 positions gained in the hardest charger of the race. Charlie Bates climbed back from the back of the field, unofficially another hard charger, and wound up 7th. Matt Urban was 8th, Timmy Spatz 9th, and Tanner Burge rounds out your top 10.
In 11th, it was Chris Story, followed by Keegan Bush, Matthew Moniak, and then Kyle Adams in 14th, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Grant Brown was one lap down, followed by Lugo Vickery, then Bradley Stefane, 13 laps down, Travis Wilhite, Becker, and Dahlberg. As we move back down through the order there, all of those drivers having a very, very tough day out there, finishing multiple laps down.
And our winner, Deegan Smith, started this one from the front row and wound up winning. And you'd argue that the regrid gave him maybe a little bit of help on that. But Deegan, I think you deserve some credit for this race, because you didn't just take a regrid and played a defensive role. You ran away from people.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank my guys at Fusion and Chris Horton. He built a set for me, but I felt amazing all race. I was saving until about lap 80, and that's when I hit my fastest lap. And then I just pulled away from there.
We wondered about that with this being such a fast track and those sharp corners. How were the tires feeling in terms of the fall off throughout the race? Was the saving mission critical to at least have a handling car by the end?
No, not really, because by the end of the race, I felt just as good as I did in the beginning. My tires weren't really that bad, so I think you don't really need to save, but you kind of need to save, not much as you think you should.
Oh, that's good to hear. This also helps you tremendously, beating out Jake Sylvia, Urban. Well, everybody pretty much this time coming up from fifth in the points. I don't know where this puts you, but this has got to be a big boost.
Yeah, I missed last week or 2 weeks ago because my computer broke. So it's nice to come back and win.
Congratulations, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you some more as the season goes on, sir.
Yep, thank you.
Deegan Smith, your victor here today, and I think it looks like DJ has caught up with Jake Sylvia.
I have indeed. Jake Sylvia, a great run out there to be able to come home P3, but I want to start with the monster set of slide jobs that you threw.
Yeah, it's Thompson, baby. We got a thing around here we call the bottom shot. You use it at Thompson, you use it at Stafford. It's a one-lane racetrack, and you got to drive it down off the track. It's paved down there. It's allowed. It's not the racing line. We're going to be seeing it more next week. We saw it all night tonight. That's part of it when you've got a points contender out there and he's got, somebody else sitting in tail that's not wanting to pass and not wanting to race and so busy looking out his mirror, he doesn't want to look out the windshield. It's kind of something you've got to do. It's part of it. That's Thompson racing. Nothing to complain about for sure. I feel like it put on a good show for the fans, and that's what we all come here to race for.
Indeed. I mean, it was an absolutely great show, and it just looked like trying to be able to do that. I mean, were you feeling you were held up a little bit there in that battle? Could you have caught Tyler and Deegan up at the front of the field?
I think that long run we had, just the fact that we fell off as far as we did, I think it was, 3 seconds or something like that to Deegan. Deegan was definitely quick, but I mean, when one guy's not going anywhere, and the guy behind him isn't trying to pass him, and I'm stuck in fourth just trying to make something happen, it definitely makes it more difficult. This track's extremely hard to pass without making contact. I did my best at that. It was, ultimately I ended up making contact with Evan. He wasn't happy. He gave it back to me and gave me a secondary shot at the end of it, which is, it's all right, That's how I am, and I can respect him for it. But, after that, we kind of traded a little bit of blows, and I was able to end out on top, and it shows, you got to be out here to race for yourself. You can't be out here racing for somebody else playing all these games all day long. It doesn't work out for you in the end. So I'm happy with it. Third isn't bad. Lost some points to Deegan and Tyler, but it's not that big of a deal. I've put myself in a good spot so far these first 5 races to have a good enough cushion to be able to do something. So.
Well, as we look ahead into next week, how do you think it goes there?
Stafford is a lot more 2-lane than this track, so I'm all about it. We're not going to have a race where I'm stuck behind anybody. We're going to have a lot more passing. Should be a lot more entertaining for the fans. I don't know. It's still going to be a tough track to pass at. I think you're still going to see a lot of the bottom shots down there. Definitely off into 1. 3 and 4 there is a little bit sketchy, but 1 and 2 is definitely good to pass. So should be pretty solid. Just got to hope that these guys that aren't used to tracks like this are able to hold their stuff and are able to race the way you're supposed to race at these tracks.
Well, it looks like here, Joe Peak, you may have caught up with the other driver that was involved in that slide job. Let's get a little conversation going.
Yeah, Evan, Jake claiming local status on some of these Northeast tracks. So you come in being on the recipient end. What's your take on the move that we saw from Jake?
I guess he didn't like us stealing his flow. I come in first race and I'm dogging him. So he feels he had to do that.
Well, it worked out for Jake in the end. He finished ahead of you, and Jake seems to imply this is kind of how you have to race up and the tracks in this region. When we go off to Thompson, do you see yourself, or not Thompson, over to Stafford, do you see yourself giving it right back?
I guess we'll have to see.
All right.
Got to be there to do it. Got to be fast enough to get there. So.
Oh, yeah, I will be.
So sounds like the drivers are throwing down some words already, but that is Jake Sylvia finishing in third today, Evan Hassler behind him in fourth. But one of the big ones that we want to talk to is Dale Leakus Jr., who finished in sixth today, but was driver of the day, hardest charger, up from 17th position to finish in 11th. Dale, the two we were just talking to, Jake and Evan, were talking about how difficult it is to pass here. How did you manage to overtake 11 cars?
Yeah, it was very difficult to pass. I think a lot of it was just trying to stay clean and watching people kind of off themselves and just going around their wrecks and staying clean, trying to just get through everything. That was the main way to pass. Just trying to hold your own under the green flag laps and then pass when there's a caution if it's in front of you.
So we were hearing from Jake that the Northeast kind of has its own way of trying to race. Obviously, we've got a lot of drivers coming in from the Midwest, so maybe a slightly different culture out on the tracks. What have you learned from trying to run here at Thompson tonight?
As far as learning, I think that it's just a very difficult track and it's very tight. It's very one groove. It's hard to make a second groove work. You kind of got to slide it in and hope it sticks. And that's why there was quite a bit of wrecks, is sometimes it just doesn't stick.
Well, seeing as it looks like you kept the paint scheme from last night, you're ready for Christmas in a couple days, and you got any candy canes to satisfy the sweet tooth?
Oh yeah, we got tons of candy canes sitting on the tree.
All right. Well, go enjoy, and Merry Christmas to you and yours, sir.
You as well. Thank you.
That was Dale Leakus Jr. finishing sixth today, which is going to wrap us up. But, of course, let's not forget about Stafford Speedway, home to the Arute family. Of course, anybody who's watched racing here in the 90s into the 2000s knows Jack Arute and all of his contributions on TV, but his family has been involved in this sport for decades.
Yeah, they certainly have. Very happy to be able to head out to there. One of the prized circuits when you talk about America's short tracks. And Joe always seems to produce absolutely fantastic racing. But I got to tell you what, they got a pretty high bar to clear after tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen when the SRX series goes to Stafford, the kind of racing, the kind of difficulty it is racing side by side there. So it's going to be tense, and I'm looking forward to it the way that we've got rivalry starting to brew.
Yeah, I am as well. It's exactly what you want out of a short track series. That bad blood starting to curl up in the air. It's going to make for a fantastic second half of this season.
Indeed. Well, we can't thank you enough for joining us, and to everybody watching, also want to wish you all a Merry Christmas as well from here at Podium Esports, and a big thank you to all the organizers of this series for help putting this one on, as well as a thank you to Ryan, DJ, and Dougie behind the scenes. Make sure and tune in on December 30th for Stafford, but until next time, race clean, race hard, we'll see you on the track.